Yeah, definitely. So what is your, as we're talking about kind of that writing process and stuff, what are some of your, like, do you have any kind of routines or rituals that you do follow? Like, do you, I'm going to sit down for a half hour and you listen to certain kind of music or like anything like that, or you just kind of when it strikes?
Just kind of when it strikes. Sometimes in poetry, I'll sit down and put some music on. Sometimes I'll sit down and I'll put New Girl on in the background if it's too quiet. Sometimes I'll sit in utter silence. It really just depends on what I'm feeling. If I'm in need of inspiration, maybe I'll put like a certain music on, just kind of get my mindset, like sit there and relax a little bit. But it's really like rain or shine, music, no sound at all. I'm pretty much all over the place. I kind of wish I had more of a strategy or more of anything like other authors have that I know. They just kind of have their regiment, but I'm probably the least regimented person possible.
Yeah. So this is fantasy, and you're writing these fantasy books, but you have some other writing. So do you want to talk about that? Maybe about what are some of the other genres that you've written in and what you like about those things?
I mean, 3 of my other books are poetry books, and I have another one coming. I just, poetry is part of my major. I've always loved lyrics and poems. I've always felt like they're a really beautiful art form. So poetry has a very special place in my heart in a very different way where I can really release a lot of my inner self in an artistic way, opposed to the way that it translates into fantasy. I wrote one about a World War II vet because my mom was an at-home nurse for him and he had dementia. He couldn't remember many things. And he one day just told me this crazy story with so much detail from smell to, I could literally see the whole thing unfolding in front of me like I was watching a movie, the way he was telling it. And I was like, wow, this man can't remember to go to the bathroom, but he remembers exactly what this battle smelled like, felt like, how hot it was, every single feeling. And I was like, I gotta write this down. And I went down there day upon day to listen to whatever I could get from him. I had this huge, one of those big, ugly yellow notepads, and it was scribbles everywhere. I just had because he had dementia, so I just had random shit all throughout it, and ended up piecing it together. Unfortunately, he died 2 months before I finally got it published, but cool memoir. His whole family has it.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody on my island has it because that's where he lived. So kind of just wanted to dedicate it to him and thought it would be fun. And that was my first book I published, which was funny as someone that's mainly a fantasy person. Yeah, it just kind of felt real. And I also kind of felt like I owed it to him. Not like I'm a big war person in that way, but, World War II vets, they went through crazy life. There's not very many of them left today. They're pretty much all gone for the most part. And I was like, okay, how many chances am I going to get for this? So, yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. I just thought it was cool to write someone with dementia stories because he was funny, and then also his crazy war stories, and then make up some stuff along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I really love that, actually. I'm from a military family. My grandpas both served in wars, and my dad and everyone, So we have a bunch of notebooks from my grandpas, and we have, like, my dad has some journals that he kept when he was over in Afghanistan. And I've thought a few times of, like, I really should read through some of that and try to compile it into some sort of historical fiction novel. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I had the chance to make kind of a sequel-ish. It was going to be with a lady that escaped from Germany during World War II, because she also lived on my island, but then I ended up moving away, so I didn't really get with her. And I really tried hard to write one with a Vietnam vet, but because Vietnam vets are so secretive and they have a really hard time talking about their stuff, it was really hard to find any that would actually really open up.
Yeah.
I had one, he tried, it just wasn't coming because it was too emotional for him. So I couldn't really do anything with it, unfortunately. I'd still like to, actually, just because the few Vietnam vets that I've heard a little bit from, it's really intense, just not enough that I can write a book about. Yeah. And then I had an Afghan vet. I think he went back to deployment. I was going to write his story because his story is pretty wild. He's done 3 or 4 deployments. But we lost touch because something happened. He's still around. I saw him post something, but he's just all over the place. He got his own stuff going on. So